Hi, and welcome to episode 161 of Explode Your Expert Business Show, brought to you by gtex.org.uk. I'm your host, Simone Vincenzi, the Expert Strategist, and this is the podcast for experts who want to become the ultimate authority in their niche while making an impact in the world. And today I have the pleasure to interview Tracy Schmitt. Unstoppable Tracy is the #1 international speaker based out of Toronto. Is sharing the stage with Jane Fonda, John Travolta, Mel Gibson, Mark Wahlberg, and many more. Her mind-blowing story always gets standing ovation, pushing audiences out of their limitation zone. She is the winner of the 2017 Robert W. Jackson Award, founder of the Canadian Paralympics, 2017 Ontario Premier Awards, 2017 C-SASIL Lifetime Achievement Award, and 2018 Women of Excellence Global Award nominee, and she's seen on CBC, CTTV, Global News, NBC, Fox, you name it, and globally around the world. Oprah magazine shared her story as quest of the Gold War Cup sailor who climbed Himalayan mountains, captained a 110-foot tall ship, won paraskiing bronze, and she's funny too. Oh, did I mention she was born as a 4-way amputee? Now, if you listen very carefully to this bio, you can immediately understand that Unstoppable Tracy is really unstoppable. And that's why I want you to listen to this interview until the end, because I gotta say that after I came out from this interview with Tracy, I had my best basketball game ever. Made 42 points and 12 out of 14 three-pointers. That's pretty crazy, right? That's how much I was pumped after that interview. In this episode, we talk about how to be unstoppable in business, how to become the best in your industry, how to stop making excuses and finally create the life you want. You can read all the interview transcript and get bonus resources at www.gtex.org.uk/160. And also there are all the links to connect with Tracy Schmitt here in the comments below and in the show notes. If you haven't downloaded our Selling from the Stage checklist and you want to create 6-figure presentations, then make sure you download it right now. You can find the link in the show notes. And if you want to connect with like-minded people and also receive a free training on how to explode your expert biz, then join our Facebook group, Explode Your Expert Biz. You can find it on Facebook at Explode Your Expert Biz, or you can click the comment in the show notes and get it right there. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe right now. And now it's time to get started. And let's start the music and hear it from How to Be Unstoppable with Tracy Schmitt. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Explode Your Expert Business Show. Today I'm here with the one and the only, the unstoppable Tracy Schmitt. How you doing, Tracy?
I am wonderful. Thank you, Simone.
So where in the world are you right now?
I have just got back from Orlando, and I am actually in Toronto, Canada, this very minute. Not for long, but I am in Toronto today, right now.
Yeah, you looks like I looked at your schedule. It seemed like you're traveling consistently everywhere. Do you like traveling?
I love traveling. Absolutely. There's at least 18 countries in 2018.
Wow.
Ma-
Which
Yeah.
one is your favorite country, Tracy? Ever favorite country you've ever visited?
It is so tough to pick a favorite country. So I kind of cheated, and I picked a country that's a bit eclectic in many. And one of the big reasons that I love it is because I love England. And so I picked Gibraltar, which still has a huge British influence. And it has the pub, and it has all sorts of bits and pieces, It's got the bobbies, and it's got the fish and chips, and it's got the friendly culture. But Gibraltar also has Spain, and it also is just a ferry away from Morocco, so it has a big African influence. So Gibraltar is amazing.
I've never been to Gibraltar yet. I haven't been there yet, so it's time
Oh,
to, yeah, it's time to go. It's time to go to Gibraltar.
and
Thank you
which
for the
country
tip.
is my number one?
Thank you for the tip. Now, Tracy, your story is incredible. Incredible is amazing. I've looked you up online. We connected via the Intelligent Millionaire Network, and we are doing an event together on the 20th. You're going to be speaking at our event, which I'm super excited. So, guys, you can see the link in the comments. Make sure that you get your ticket right now. But
Yeah,
how did it all started for you? Because you have you have achieved so much. So
so
what?
lucky.
Yeah, tell us a bit more about you and your journey.
You know, and it's, I mean, it's almost tough to start there because I love to almost end there. But I was born a four-way amputee. Missing my hands, and both of my legs are amputated above knee. And I wasn't like a hero, right? I'm just some kid that wants to play on another lawn where the other kids are.
Yeah,
So I learned really young. I had to do whatever it took to go play. And so that's who I am as a child, as a teenager, as a business person. And so I am actually super lucky to have been born this way because it's what it takes, even in business, to do whatever it takes. And if you fall off the skateboard, you don't give up because you don't end up playing with those kids. And that's the same in business now. And when I was with Air Canada with a pilot strike, it was devastating for so many families that were trying to figure out and stand for their rights, and then all the others that were grounded. Or when we went through a merger with Air Canada and Canadian Airlines, who's being sorted out and not making seniority lists. Or when Uber was trying to break into Canada, and Canada was saying no, you can't come in because of old legacy policy that the
yeah,
taxi industry had been really protective over and influential over. And I was the one that got Uber to break into Canada. So I'm just really lucky that I learned really quickly that no, N-O, doesn't mean no. It just means they don't know, right? They don't K-N-O-W. And I learned that really young. And so I just, that's how I hear it. Like every time somebody says no, and sometimes that frustrates my sister. Because I really do mean no, right? And I'm thinking, not, she just doesn't know.
well, there's a lot of persistence in what you're saying and in your attitude. Now you have been sailing. You climbed the Himalaya. What else have you done in terms of sport? Because you're a very active person.
Very active. Well, and people think I've been sailing in like boats for people with disabilities, but I've been sailing all sorts of boats since I was little, long before they had adapted boats, and have been in World Cup regattas with able-bodied men, where I was there might be 3 women out of 30, and the rest of them are all able-bodied, meaning they have their arms and their legs. And so I'm the only one of few women and the only one with no arms and no legs. And I'm so glad that I had sport, and because I could swim, I could sail, and because I could fall out of the boat while I was learning to sail and get back in the boat, I kind of learned that you just get back in the boat. And because
Yeah.
I could sail, I could teach sailing, and because I taught sailing, I got a teaching degree, and because I got a teaching degree, I traveled the world, Uganda, Mexico, Jamaica, doing humanitarian work in my early 20s. And because I did all of that, it got me into Air Canada. But I love scuba diving and kayaking, and I've been bobsledding and flown an airplane and jumped out of an airplane, all sorts of bits and pieces. Rode a motorbike, a moped, a bicycle.
Have you always been this way from the moment you remember, or did you become this way?
I think apparently I learned to talk really late. It was like way into my second year. It was almost 3 before I was talking, which is kind of funny to imagine. And I think another thing that happened is that I had to adapt and connect to invite the comfort in the outside world. And so little kids in kindergarten, they'd look at me with fear or shock in their eyes. And so I needed to look them back in the eye and smile and say, "Hi, I'm Tracy." Or the conversation and the relationship would turn very different. But it's the same in business, right? You need to engage people and increase their comfort, and the relationship takes off. So it really was a blessing for me. And it is that conversation starter to make others comfortable. So I think early on I was this way, really early on. They denied me going into kindergarten. And, my mom, she could have been mama bear and angry, but she wasn't, right? She just listened to the principal, and I saw this, and she heard that they were worried about me tying my shoelaces and being independent. And so she didn't say, she can do it, because he'd be looking at me with no hands and no legs and say, yeah, this mom is just overestimating her baby girl. So she spoke to his listening, and she said, how about we just try for 1 week? And if it doesn't work out, then we'll consider some other schools. And so he was willing to do that, no problem. So the first day he races outside to try to find me, and I'm not outside. And he comes back in to find out how come. It turns out I'm the only kid that could tie my shoelaces. And so I was busy tying everybody's shoelaces. There were 30 kids. So by the time I tied 30 shoelaces, the recess bell was over. But, we get this in business as women or as young entrepreneurs where people can underestimate you, or a funder doesn't understand your vision. And so what is it when people tell you no, right? And how come the girl with no hands is the girl that wasn't allowed in that classroom? Right? Some standard operating procedure. There's no personal assistance then in school, educational assistance to support. But it doesn't matter. And you know what? It's really good there wasn't, because I just went through school independently, whereas today they would automatically give me an educational assistant, and maybe I would have very different relationships with people because I'd always have this other person with me.
Yeah.
And I feel very lucky that I was born when I was born. I mean, there's ultrasounds now too. They would have aborted me. I never would have been born as a 4-way amputee. So I'm very lucky. I was born when I was born. And that counter offer to the listening of the other person, not the fact, but where is that other person at, I learned at 5, right? I learned with my mom early. So, I learned how to generate conversations, speaking to others, listening in kindergarten.
If you have to look at your life, all the things that you've achieved, all the things that you have done, which one has been the most difficult one?
Most difficult? Oh, I wasn't expecting difficult. I thought you were going to say my most exciting. My most difficult one.
Yep.
My most difficult one. Wow. There's so many pieces. I'm trying to think of sport, but I just know you keep trying, right? And you go for it. And I think of speaking, and it was a long journey, but it wasn't a difficult journey. Very lucky to have been born needing to speak for myself very early. So my most difficult journey was, my journey to the Paralympic trials. When I decided to go for it, it was after a flight after Hurricane Sandy, and the plane just was in terrible turbulence. And we were in the air, and Hurricane Sandy devastated in the United States the New York subway system. It took out a gazillion homes in Rhode Island. It was horrible. And we were in the air, and I thought I was going to die. And I had this vision that, if I don't die, I'm going to pursue my Paralympic dream. And so when I landed, I ended up putting everything, like literally, I landed at 5:30. At 7:30, I was on Kijiji, an application here in Canada, maybe it's worldwide, where you can put your couch and your furniture and my dresser and my bed. I put everything I owned on this app. And within a week, I had, if it didn't fit in my car, it was gone. I'd given it away or sold it. And everything in my car, all my worldly travels, all my special precious artifacts, if they didn't fit in my car, they were gone. And I drove down to Miami, because who you surround yourself with is who you become.
Yeah.
And the Olympians are all in Miami. And I'm like, okay, if I want to be a fast winning Paralympian, I got to surround myself with Olympians, something higher and better than me and better than all the other Paralympians. So I went for these gold Olympians, and I slept in my car, and I slept on boats, and I slept on balconies, and I ate Cheerios for 3 months. And none of the gold Olympians would look at me seriously. They were all men, they were all blonde, they were all Dutch, Norwegian, German. It was amazing. They were all from that part of the world. They all had big muscles, and they were all tall, and they look at me without my legs on, and a girl in a male-dominated sport from Canada. We only have 3 months of summer. How could I be a sailor? And so I ended up washing boats for 3 months and running errands and picking up sails and buying lunches and just washing boats and doing a lot of labor of love for the community. And Magnus Lidjedal was a gold Olympian from Sweden that the U.S. had taken on. And he, after 3 months of seeing me at 5:30 in the morning and the last one off the dock, because he had no idea I was sleeping, hiding in my car on the dock grounds, right? So I was always there at 5:30, and I was always still there at midnight, right? And so he said, "Come on, let's go sailing." And so that was a very hard journey, very, very. And then the boat would crash, and all sorts of just there's 113 regattas, and I think somebody bumped me in every single regatta, and it was a really tough journey. Just when you think you get a breakthrough, then there's another thing that would happen. And what was awesome about that?
I have a question. How did you feel when he said, "Let's go sailing"?
Oh, ecstatic. I'm like, and you just, this rush comes through you, and it's like a zone cone of silence. You have no idea who else is around you. I mean, people talk about that when they see their loved one across the room. Well, I had that love zone code for Magnus about sailing, Yeah. It was amazing. Oh, it was so incredible. And he loaned me boats, and Magnus and I together turned his club into an international Paralympic sports club. And we moved him out of a parking lot at Shake a Leg, which was recreation, into the U.S. Sailing Olympic Center. And we never would have done that without me, and I never would have become a World Cup sailor without him.
Yeah,
it was meant to be. It was meant to. I needed to prove my diligence and my resiliency, and that I was sticking with it tenaciously, and I wasn't going anywhere, because he'd seen lots of people come through and say they want to be an Olympian or a Paralympian and then just disappear, and I didn't disappear. And so together we created this incredible new Paralympic Sports Club at Team Paradise U.S. Sailing Center. So it was bigger than me.
Wow. It's so amazing. I got so many questions prepared for you. But before I move forward, I want to say hi to everyone who's watching. We have Chad, Emma de la Chapelle, Cheryl, Caroline King, Linda, Robert Cistern, thank you for watching. My cousin Erica, Army, thank you very much. Suzanne, thank you very much for joining. If you have any question for Unstoppable Tracy, put a question in the comment, so then I will be able to ask her, and she will be able to answer the question that you have right now. The question that I have for you, Tracy, is we talked about the most difficult thing that you have achieved. If you have to think about the things that you have achieved or done that you are the most proud of, what would it be?
I'm a super proud aunt. I have an incredible relationship with my niece and my nephew, amazing beyond expectation. When I go to school with him, I have a power chair for going long distances when I'm not wearing my legs. And he doesn't even care whether I'm walking or in the wheelchair, and he rides on the back of my chair. He's like, "This is unstoppable, Tracy. This is unstoppable, Tracy." And he like celebrates everybody. We went to the movies the other night, and he said, "Oh my gosh, Tracy." Oh, and I'm like, "What?" And he said, "Well, we're going to another public place. You know, you're going to just bump into 100 people that you know, and you're going to have all these people saying, 'Oh, that's unstoppable, Tracy.'" But you could see he was pretending he was exasperated, but he was actually excited to be like holding my hand as we walked through. And so I'm so proud of my niece and my nephew, and that they are excited by my journey. And I'm extra proud of sharing the stage with Jane Fonda, with the top 10 event. It was in Toronto. I had attended this top 10 event for years. It's an incredible fundraiser, and they choose a cause. And this year they were doing future possibilities for children. And when he reached out to me to be one of his top 10, like he had a top 10 movie star, Jane Fonda, and he had a top 10 comedian, and he had a top 10 musician, and a top 10 politician, and he always has somebody in 10 different areas. And I was his top 10 athlete that he wanted to represent. And I was just so humbled and honored at this massive stage and an incredible venue and a really huge audience, and that he sought me out. And it was so amazing to be hugged by Jane Fonda and to share that stage with her. It was phenomenal.
If you have to put your success down to one single quality that you have, which quality do you think helped you the most to create what you have created so far?
I think people would expect me to say tenacious or resiliency, but the reality is, the quality is, right, like when Mom said going into the kindergarten classroom, make sure nobody's left behind. Include everybody included, right? So I could have gone outside with my shoelace tied, but my mom had told me, include everybody. And so I wasn't going outside until I tied 30 shoelaces. Now what she meant was, don't be left behind yourself. But what I took it to mean is include everybody. And the only reason I got on a Jane Fonda stage is because everybody has been incredible supporters. And you know, doing Nepal and Uganda and Jamaica, and even on this speaking journey, including everybody and supporting other speakers and supporting other entrepreneurs, and all my best exam results in school were always when I was bringing in some folks that were scared of passing a test, and I'm like, okay, let's get together. We do this together. And my test results were better, yeah, and it was way better. So I always, it's not a mystic, magical, airy-fairy myth. When you are supportive of others, you are the epitome of that. Simone, you are so generous. You're a magical man that is abundantly about supporting other people's purposes and thriving. You're just, I'm so lucky to have met you and to be introduced to you. But look, Nina supported me to introduce myself to you. And so I would say the number one leadership quality that got me where I am is just to remember everybody included. Include everybody in your journey, and together you grow abundantly that much more.
I completely agree with you. Now, I don't know if you know this, but GTEX stands for Growing Together Exponentially. That's what GTEX stands for.
Oh my God! Now I feel like I'm like brown nosing. I wasn't brown nosing.
So we are exactly in the same page. When Ben and I, my business partner and I, sat down in our room to create a company and the name, we looked at what was important for us on a human level. What were our values? And we had three things that we had in common. One was the fact that we both wanted to grow. And we wanted growth for us and for the people that were around us. Yeah. Then the second thing was community. doing things together. I don't like to do things by myself, and I believe that by doing things together, we can achieve results that by ourselves can feel or even think impossible. And then exponentially is the diligent work, looking at the exponential curve, putting the work in to have that boom growth that happens like you see the exponential curve. So when you said it, I was like, yep, you're talking my language.
Oh, I love that. I had no idea. That's wonderful. Oh, I love that, love that, love that.
Wow. I have a couple more questions. Talking about entrepreneurs, what do you think is the biggest advice? What is the biggest advice that you can give to an entrepreneur right now?
A lot of entrepreneurs I meet are they're going to do this one day. They're in the planning stages of. They're thinking about. They're excited, and they've got sometimes they even have a really quality 15-second elevator pitch, but they're in that going to do. And so what I highly recommend is that people take action and they go for it and they drive results by jumping. And, we get sort of stuck in, I don't know how, or it's not lined up, or it doesn't look perfect. Yeah. And I think sometimes we need to just go for it. When I was skiing, people who are paralyzed or people that are missing their legs, they use a sit ski, but they all have their hands, and so they use outriggers. So they were like, well, how is she going to ski? But I knew from falling out of boats and sailing that I wasn't going to learn how to sail until I fell out of the boat 100 times to figure out how to balance, right? And you just get back in that boat. So I knew I wasn't going to learn skiing staying at home on the couch. I had to go for it, right? I had to go there. We couldn't plan and strategize away. And so we went there. And if we weren't at the ski hill, I never would have discovered that my ski instructor had size 11 feet. Big feet. Sorry for those that have even bigger feet. Size 11 just seems huge to me. And what we did is we took my legs off. We put my thighs in men's ski boots backwards, and then I was in that skier's duck squat tuck position because the ski boots are canted a little bit, and we wouldn't have figured that out at home. You have to just go for it. You have to get to the hill, and you have to get to the writing the book, and you have to just launch the book, and you have to commit to the book will be produced on November, and you got to just show up and speak at a venue and learn from that experience and that learning journey. If I didn't wash boats for 3 months, I would not have known the 2.4 meter, the boat that I sailed in World Cup regattas, as well as I did. I was totally like the Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. Like I was washing these boats, and by the time I sailed that boat, I really knew it. And so you kind of just got to jump in and go for it. And I can't wait for some gold Olympian to say, yes, come to Miami. I had to go for it. And I wasn't going to ski. And I skied in the trees 12 times that first run. I just right into the trees. And the run that they put me on was called OMG. Oh, my goodness. Right? Like, holy cow. I took a wrong. I didn't go where I was supposed to go for the beginner's run, and I ended up on this black diamond. Oh my goodness. And so we do that in business where we feel like we're saying, oh my goodness. But it was awesome. I didn't hurt myself. I just dusted. It's a lot of snow. I dusted myself up, and I got up again. And I eventually skied, oh my goodness, again, and got a bronze medal in skiing. But I didn't start that way. And so you got to just throw yourself into the middle of oh my goodness moments and ski through it and go for it. And you keep dusting yourself off till you get it. But you're not going to plan it. You got to go for it. But make sure you have a good ski coat on and a helmet on and a good instructor. Right?
Good instructor. You get the right gears. And then now it's up to you. Now go.
So, yes, now go. Set yourself up for success. I'd set myself up for success with a gold Olympian and with a ski instructor. And that's who you are and who I am. We are the coaches. Let us set you up for success, and then you got to go for it.
do you have anything to say to people that this kind of people that always find excuses? I have I've got a very low tolerance and very little patience. That's I got one of these problems here. These kind of people that they have excuses over excuses, and they are always thinking about doing something, and they're always launching something, and then 2 years down the line, they're exactly in the same position, saying, "I'm still thinking about this. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to launch it," and then they're still thinking about it 3 years down the line. What would you say to them?
No, the worst thing in the world is somebody that has a good excuse. If you are burdened with a very realistic reason why something's not happening right now, I feel for you. Don't feel for me without my arms and legs. I feel for you, because that good excuse is what's holding you back. But the thing is, if you have no excuses, then you have no limit. And it's a big kind of tough love, right? If I can do it, you can do it. No excuses.
Yeah.
And it's like, the only reason you're not a millionaire or number one mom on the planet or best-selling New York author extraordinaire, London king of the jungle, starring at the Hippodrome, right? The only thing that's stopping you from being a millionaire or any of those things is you, right? So no excuses, millionaire is who I am. And all that means is no excuses, tough love, no excuses. But the bonus is no limits.
Yeah.
So you can have your excuses, but they don't get you anywhere. So let them go and go for it.
Brilliant. What a brilliant answer. Every time someone has an excuse, I'm going to send them this interview now. I'm not even going to spend any more time and say, watch this and come back to me. Right? Watch this and come back to me. I have a question from Suzanne, which is one of our lifetime members. And she's asking, hi Tracy, where or how did you find the will, determination and strength to go for it in the first place?
Well, I was that breakthrough day of being that valuable contributor in the classroom when nobody could tie their shoelaces, and then me without my hands, like I was the only one that could tie my shoelaces. And where that came from is so many pieces of the puzzle. I mean, parents have multiple kids and every child grows up differently. And I know that a piece of that lies in my heart and my soul. But my mother is from Liverpool, England. So where I found it was from a British English mother who was very tough love, right? They said, you got to tie your shoelaces for the first day of school. And she fully expected me, right, to make my own bed, to tie my own shoelaces, wow, to do my own dishes. She was totally that, but she also is super funny with her British humor and her sarcasm, which was amazing. And so this British tough love mom didn't give me a lot of room for excuses early on, which was great. And then I would say each time I had a breakthrough, it gave me new confidence. Like I remember like super scared of being in kindergarten. And then when I went to university and I was moving away from home the very first time, I remember bawling my eyes out. I had no idea what it was going to be like. But it was amazing. And then I was with Operation Rally, which was an English organization that makes a difference around the world. And I was 18. And I remember going off with Operation Rally and again, bawling my eyes at what's going to happen. And when I got there, it was phenomenal. And you know, I captained tall ships. The captain's wife got pregnant or had the baby who went into labor. She didn't get pregnant while we were there. That'd be just like behind the scenes.
Very quick. Wow. That was quick.
Yes. I didn't see that. I heard about the being in labor, and I was the only one of the 18 Operation Rally people that knew how to sail. So he goes off and he's like, Tracy, you take over. And I was the captain of a tall ship in the Eastern Atlantic. Isn't that crazy? We left from Oban at the time. And then I got to captain a tall ship in the North Sea called the Luke Gardenia. And so if I hadn't, if I hadn't fallen out of the boat and realized, oh, it's just like swimming, I love swimming, get back in, and realize it's okay to fall out of the boat. And if I hadn't been scared to go to school or scared to go to Operation Rally and then find out the amazing other side of that risk, what's so interesting, Simone, is Air Canada had been Air Canada employees for 30 years or more. And then they went independent offering. Canadian Airlines, they had to merge many times. They merged with Ward Air, the English airline, and a bunch of airlines. So when they merged with Air Canada, the Canadian Airlines employees were excellent at figuring it out, the new way of being, and moving on. But the Air Canada employees that had always had it the same way, they really resisted and really hung on to the past, which was gone. And so we needed to celebrate and honor the Air Canada and celebrate Air Canada survived because of their great practices, but they also needed to move on and work together, everyone included, with the Canadian Airlines staff. And I think the Canadian Airlines were so great because they've been through multiple mergers. And so I think, Susan, that's what happened to me. Like, because I had fallen out of a boat and skied in the trees and scared to go to school and scared to do Operation Rally, and then Jamaica was scary but not as scary, and then Uganda was scary but not as scary, and then Nepal, climbing the Himalayas, was scary but not as scary. So when I took off to go on my Paralympic journey to Miami in my car, and I'm like, legs off, bumming out of my car to try to get gas in my tank, and these like tattooed motorcycle guys are coming up to me, and they just offered to help me with my gas, right? And so there were scary moments, but I wasn't as scared. I just knew I had to go for it when it was time to do that. And it's because I had many other scary moments. Like, the learning and the growth comes from stretching outside of your comfort zone. So now, today, in my 40s, I am petrified when I'm in my comfort zone. I'm actually really uncomfortable in my comfort zone. I totally am much more comfortable.
I got no mountain to climb? What's wrong with me?
I get scared and panic and oh no. And maybe it's an age thing. Maybe it's a middle age thing. I'm like, oh, I'm not shutting down life. I'm not stopping living. Or maybe I've just all my life lived in my uncomfort zone. I don't know how to be in my comfort zone.
There is Suzanne that says, fantastic, I love it, wow. She's on a stream of comments. She said, that's so interesting, fabulous, you're so incredibly inspiring, totally humbling for us. Yes, I can agree with you. I couldn't agree more, Suzanne. I have one last question, Tracy, for you and then it's time to wrap up. And guys, make sure that get the ticket right now. Whether you're watching this live, there is a link in the comments. Get the ticket on the 20th of August to see Unstoppable Tracy live in London at Purpose to Abundance on how to be unstoppable in your field. So that's the event. You gotta come down there and get a ticket. If you're listening on the recording of the show on our podcast, or maybe you're watching this on YouTube, then the link is going to be again in the comments, and then get your ticket right now. So the question that I have for you, Tracy, is do you have any regret at all? Because it seems you have been living quite a full-on life so far, and there is more to go, way more to go. But do you happen to have any regret at all?
I think I'm just in the middle of embracing this particular regret. I'm not through it, and I'm not in the middle of it. Like, I'm past the start of it, but I've always wanted kids, right? And my first degree, I've got an MBA now, but my very first degree was recreation, to play with kids. And then I got a teaching degree to teach kids. And when I was in the developing countries, I always worked with kids and did leadership development with children, and still do. And miss, I had a regret of not having children. But I think it's why my niece and nephew are so important to me, and I can be so supportive in that world. But I realized, like I wherever I go, when I go to London, England, I will continually ask people, oh, are your kids in school? Would you like me to come to their school? And I can probably forecast that it's more than likely, and maybe out of this podcast right now, someone's going to invite me to a school in London. And so part of my regret is not having kids, but what I realized is I'm exactly where I need to be. And instead of affecting one child or two children in my life, I am affecting a world of children, literally all around the world. And I really make it an intention to try to visit a school wherever I go and say, oh, I'll visit your school and drive, or I'll visit 3 schools, wherever I go, if I meet parents with children, and we can create that spontaneous possibility with the principal. And I'm aligned with World Peace 2035. And so making the world my child too. Like, let's not affect one donation to one child in Jamaica. Let's affect world peace 2035. I had a dream January 27th of 2017. And what I realized in my sport life, in my high performance life, I see a gate for skiing, or I see a start line for sailing, or a top mark for sailing, and I envision myself successfully getting around it, and all the steps to being what are the sequence of events that happen to get me around that gate or that top mark best. And I never did that, see that, vision it in my business life or my personal life. And so what I did January 27th through the invite of a coach was I saw myself on a stage with more than 2,000 people, and the lights, like you imagine, and I'd seen in a Tony Robbins kind of environment. And as you know now, I'm in 18 countries this year. I've been on stages. I was just 2 days ago in Orlando on a stage with 3,000 people. And number one transformational leader with the John Maxwell Awards for Canada. And it was like blow my mind. But so instead of having a little dream, I dreamt January 27th, okay, I want to make $200 every gig. And then February 28th, I said, okay, no, I want $2,000 every gig. Well, now I've most recently earned $10,000 for a gig. And not most recently now, like October of 2017, that year, I earned $10,000. And to imagine that January 27th, I pictured $200. In October, I made $10,000 in Russia. Russia had brought me to speak. And so when you dream, don't just dream big. Dream big. Dream bigger than you can imagine. And then times it by 10. Because at the moment, you can only see this little big dream. And what you need to realize, you need to dream bigger than yourself and imagine bigger than you can even imagine. So I invite you to dream massive and then multiply it by 10. And that's kind of what happened. I'm so like talking into my own self here. I forget your question that I was leading this to.
The question, no, you answered the question perfectly. The question that was if you had any regret, and then thank you for sharing. And Suzanne, in fact, is saying you have such a gift, and yes, what an inspiration to children in school. That's what Suzanne. I think you have number one biggest fan right now. She's absolutely in love with you, and but who wouldn't be? And I think that's what happens when you dream big and you're willing to bring people with you.
Yeah.
You then start building people that not only listen to your message and they get inspired by you. You become a driving force for their dream and inspiring them to dream bigger. And they will be a driving force for other people who are going to listen to them and then invite them to dream bigger. And then create this massive ripple effect that is going to create the world in which we want to live in for us, for our future generation, and living in a better planet, in a more loving, caring, supportive planet for us as a species, as humans. So I got goosebumps. I mean, I have my basketball training in a few minutes, so I'm gonna crush it today. I'm gonna kill it.
Kill those obstacles. It'll be mind-blowing results, and you're gonna like score a basket and see it. And if you don't score a basket, you know it's because it had a purpose, right?
Yeah, no, don't worry. I'm gonna score my basket. They got to measure. They got to check my 3-point. They got to mark. They got to guard me very tight today after listening to you. Wow. Right, Tracy, thank you very much. So, guys, if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, what the heck are you waiting for? Check the link in the comments. Get your ticket for Purpose to Abundance on the 20th of August. Unstoppable Tracy, our lead keynote speaker during the night. And if someone is listening from maybe another country or all over the world or cannot attend the event and they want to keep in touch with you, how they can keep following you, Tracy?
I am Unstoppable Tracy. So I have no hands, no feet, and no E in Tracy, Tracy. And so if they do Unstoppable Tracy, no extra parts, everywhere, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Google+, my website, everything is Unstoppable Tracy. So you could do hashtag Unstoppable Tracy, and you'll find me in whatever your favorite social medium is, or my website, Unstoppable Tracy. And follow me on YouTube.
And if you're also listening and you're an event organizer, make sure that you get Tracy at your event, because I'm looking forward to have Tracy at our event, but I've also seen her on different stages, and I promise you, there is no other speaker that can fire up your audience like Unstoppable Tracy. So get her, book her for your event, because she is going to make the difference. I mean, our events right now is almost sold out, and we are 2 weeks to go. So guys, make sure that you get Unstoppable Tracy down at your event right now, and follow her, get in touch with her, so then you can be part of her world, be inspired, be motivated, and become unstoppable like Tracy is. Tracy, thank you very much for being with us today. It's been a great interview.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you subscribe to the show if you haven't subscribed yet, and leave us a 5-star review letting us know what did you enjoy the most about the show. Up until next episode, make sure that you support each other, and always remember, together we grow exponentially.